Could I get some help over here?
But you know what? It can still happen.
Hello. Oh, hello. Welcome to You Bet Your Bird.
If the stars align just right,
Hi.
Hi.
a tall shiksa Hollywood icon might just fall for a short Jewish leprechaun who does voices.
What is on chemo?
It's monkfish liver.
Monkfish liver. You know, the monkfish lives a monastic life, searching in vain for its lost liver.
Welcome to Amusing Jews, where we celebrate Jewish contributors and contributions to American popular culture. I'm Jonathan Friedmann.
And I'm Joey Angelfield.
Producer and engineer Mike Tomren is working somewhere behind the scenes. Amusing Jews is a project of Adat Chaverim Congregation for Humanistic Judaism, the Cool Shul Jewish Cultural Community, and Atheists United Studios. Hey Joey, advertising a movie as based on a true story began with the 1899 silent short Major Wilson's Last Stand. Over the years, the phrase has been used to describe all sorts of movies, some staying close to the real-life source material, and some straying far from it. An infamous example is the 1996 Coen brothers' masterpiece, Fargo, which claims to be based on true events, but is only loosely based on some aspects of a couple of crimes. Upon reading the words based on a true story, the viewer is guided to see the movie in a certain way, wondering what's true and what's embellished, and connecting more directly with the characters and scenes on screen. One movie that's truer than most and more relatable than most comes from today's guest.
We're excited to talk with Jerry Sroka, an actor, writer, and producer known for his roles in Godspell, Antz, The Wild Thornberrys, and many more. His latest film is our almost completely true love story, co-written with and co-starring his wife, actress Mariette Hartley. Jerry, welcome to Amusing Jews. Our almost completely true love story has a great summary on IMDb. A tall, aging shiksa icon meets a short Jewish leprechaun in a bird store. What are the chances? You co-wrote the movie with your real-life iconic actress wife, Mariette Hartley. What inspired you to share your almost completely true story?
Not working. We weren't working, and we were both frustrated. And I had a movie that I'm still working to get done. And finally, I said, "Why don't we write something that's that we could produce?" And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, we'll produce it ourselves. I mean, we have these wonderful actor friends, and so she said, "Okay." It was as simple as that. And we started to work on it, and we finished it. And she said to me, "You got to go deeper, Jerry." I said, "What?" She said, "It's got to have some of that." I said, "Well, it's a comedy." And she said, "Yeah, it's a comedy, but we need to go deeper." So we went back and added that whole section where she ends up in the hospital. And then, of course, the movie's much better for it. And she's not here, so I can say that. And so we did it. And then I sent it to Don Scardino, who I did Godspell with back during the Civil War. And Don read it, and he said, "Let's do this." And we went to U.S. Bank, and we mortgaged our house, although Mariette says we remortgaged our neighbor's house. I haven't heard anything from them, so I'm figuring we're okay. And we got the money, and they gave them. And then we started calling our friends. Peter McNichol, who is just great in anything he does. Tess Harper, Stu Penkin. Everybody said, some of them said, I said, "Listen, we're doing this movie. It's SAG minimum, which is, $1.25 a day." And they said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll send it to you. You can read it." And they said, No, I'm in. And it all came together. I'm making it sound simple. It wasn't. Just the papers from Screen Actors Guild alone keep you up nights. But and then the Directors Guild and it was all new because we've never produced anything, and we did it.
Well, you mentioned that you are working at the time, and I imagine that has something to do with ageism in the Hollywood industry. And then you bring in all of these terrific older actors who it was just delightful to see everybody on screen doing their own thing and really acting very naturally. And I could tell that everyone was friendly with each other. It's actually refreshing, and it's a shame that we don't get to see more of that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And Bernie Capel from Get Smart and Love Boat. Bernie lives around the corner. I said, Bernie, I'll send you the script. When do you need me? It's that kind of thing. And then some people we didn't know Mindy Sterling. And our casting director, Jeff Hardwick, said, I can get Mindy Sterling. And he did. So we have a movie.
Your movie feels like a true story. While watching, I felt like I was actually spending time with you and getting to know you and Mariette in an unvarnished and natural way, which doesn't often happen in cinema. How important was it for you to invite the audience in this way, or was that just sort of a byproduct of it being such a personal project?
Yeah, it was really a byproduct. We were one of the, we first entered a lot of film festivals and won a bunch of awards, which was great. But then we had one here at the Lenley over here in the Valley. We had a viewing, and we went because they wanted to do a Q&A after. And we went, and there were all these kids there, meaning college kids. They had shorts that they had made, not the shorts I'm wearing, but movie shorts. And they were all there watching their shorts. And they finished. We were the main movie that night. And as our movie started, they all got up to leave. There were, 20, 25 producers, directors, actors who were in these shorts. And the movie started, and they slowly sat down. And not only did they stay, but they laughed. And when it was over, they wouldn't let us leave. The questions kept, and they finally threw us out. They said, you got to leave, folks. We have another showing coming in. We went out to the street, and these kids, and I said to one girl, I said, we think or thought that this movie was for people our age. And she said, why would you think that? And I said, well, everybody in it is over 60. And I just thought, and she said, no, I have to get my boyfriend to see this. And that was like, wow, that was a shock, a wonderful shock. And that's the way it's been. We went to New Jersey for a film festival, up to Cambria. Where else? The first one we went to was Sedona, Arizona. They have an international film festival. We won Best Comedy, and there were 800 people. That was our first. 800 people. And we sat on the side of this huge auditorium. And Mariette started to laugh at the first scene. And I said, you can't be laughing. You can't laugh. And then the audience kind of caught up and started laughing. And when it was over, everybody stood. And we were just knocked out. We were flabbergasted. We went up to the stage and we took questions. But that was our first big audience. And it was really wonderful.
I was going to say, I've seen some depictions in popular media nowadays about people seeing their films, in people reacting to their films. And it must be kind of cool to see it. It sounds almost a little bit like live theater when you kind of see the audience catching on and like getting into the feel of the movie. That sounds thrilling.
Yeah, it was. It really was. And the other ones were, of course, New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey. And this was in Asbury Park where I went to high school. So we had kind of a loaded audience, if you will. Family, friends, people who knew us. And, we didn't expect them to say, So, but that was after Sedona. So I was okay with people's comments. Then they were all positive, but one by one, people started coming up to us. And it's been a while since I've been in Asbury Park. And I didn't recognize anybody. Luckily, people introduced themselves, and I went, because we didn't age, I didn't age. Only they did.
That's the benefit of having eyes inside our own heads where we see others but not ourselves.
Yes, big benefit.
Enjoying the show? Click like and subscribe. So we already sort of alluded to this, but our almost completely true love story has much to say about aging, and as we were just talking about, especially in the world of show business. As we mentioned, there are a number of wonderful older actors and actresses in the film. Would you mind telling us a little more about aging as an actor?
Oh, it's tough. Actually, my last audition that I remember, now with this new technology, we're using it right now, hopefully for the good. But you don't go in and meet casting directors anymore. And that's where I made impressions, and did impressions. And you left and you said, I probably didn't get this, but I think I got inside their brain. Gone. You set up your iPhone or a camera, which I bought, and you set it up and you hold the script and you do it and you send it in, or I try to send it in. And the last audition I had was a guy I was playing a guy, stage manager in a theater, changing a light bulb. Up on a ladder, changing a light bulb. That was my whole scene. So I brought a ladder in. Mary said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm not going to leave anything to chance." And I stood up on the ladder and I put the light bulb in my mouth. And I started the scene with the light bulb in my mouth, which I thought was kind of fun. And I was walking like that, trying to, and I got down off the ladder. We sent it in, and I didn't get it. I thought, so it's come to this. This is not what I, Mariette had been working up in the time. She's down with a broken leg, recovering from that. But she did 911 and she was killed off, Grey's Anatomy. And so she was getting work here and there, but this was a role. I mean, a real role that we wrote for her. The scene in the casting office with Morgan Fairchild and Tess Harper, that was the easiest to write. And it was much longer because the ageism within that scene, they come out, the casting director comes out, and I think Mariette says,
What is she, 12? Careful. That's the kind that'll turn on you.
That's what was happening to both of us. More so for Mariette, because Mariette, for older people, is a household. I mean, everybody knows her. And when you go in and they have no idea who she is, what she's done. They don't bother to look it up. Got very frustrating, very frustrating. So we did our own thing, and I'm working on getting the next one done. If you have any money, by the way, you have my address. That's all we need is money. And a lead. That's really hard to get with an independent film.
Well, as you sort of alluded to, you have a deep love for old movies and TV shows. In our almost complete love story, and I'm sure in real life as well, you have a habit of referencing and quoting classic characters and lines. How did you get so wrapped up with the Marx Brothers and the like?
My dad would say, "Sit down," and he'd turn a Marx Brothers film that was on, maybe something called $1 Million Movie, which was on in the East, and they showed the same movie all week. So you could see it 9 times. And well, when he introduced me to the Marx Brothers, I was just beside myself. And 2 of me is 1 too many, you know what I mean? And it was my dad. And then he would take me, he took me to New York in the cars that always broke down. We go to a theater called Athalia up in 96th Street. And it only showed foreign movies. And I don't know how he knew about these foreign movies, but he would take me and then drove me to Philadelphia to see a French comic named Jacques Tati. And so he had a love of the cinema. And he grew up in a Hebrew orphanage in Brooklyn, which I didn't find out till way later in my life. I said, "Dad, why didn't you ever talk about it? How was it?" "Oh, it was fine." And then I looked up the orphanage. Looks like a prison. Which doesn't mean anything from the outside, right? But his dad, my grandfather, would pick him up once a week and take him to either a movie or a show. So I think that was something that bound them together, and he introduced me to early, second grade actually. He did his famous sit out, and he opened a big red book, and he said, "We're going to read this." I said, "What is it?" He said, "It's a play called Julius Caesar by Shakespeare." I said, "Okay." He said, "But I want you to read Brutus as Jimmy Cagney, because by the second grade I could do Jimmy Cagney." And I did it. We read it back and forth, a couple of scenes, Mark Antony's scene. And somehow, I don't know, it wasn't me. My teacher heard about this and had me bring it in and do it in class. Well, everybody, I don't know in second grade whether you understand all the words in Shakespeare. They laughed, and I became very popular, and I thought, I think I like this. I like people laughing.
There's that bit in the film where you reflect on how your father didn't allow you to watch TV in the afternoon.
Right. True. That's not almost true. That's true. Turn it off. Go get a job.
So it seems like he was encouraging in terms of your popular culture consumption in certain contexts, but not others.
I mean, if you remember what was on in the afternoon, I know you don't, you're too young. But there was basically crap in the afternoon. Quiz shows, but at night, the movies came on. And he'd make sure I sat down and watched. And we watched Ed Sullivan every week. That was like, and then I realized, having married Mariette, she did 4 Bonanzas. Well, I think Bonanza was on opposite Ed Sullivan. So I never watched it. Same thing with Star Trek. I never watched Star Trek. And then I get cast. I go in for an audition. I do the audition, and I get cast. And they send me the lines and the thing. And I show up 4:30 in the morning at Paramount. I drive up to the gate. And the guy said, "What are you here for? You got an ID?" An ID. I said, "I'm here for Star Trek." "Which one?" "There's more than one?" And he looked at me like he said, "There are 4 shooting." I said, "I have no idea." "Don't you watch the show?" I said, "No." "Does that mean I can't do it?" He said, No, let me. Anyway, he found me. And after a 4-hour makeup, I asked for a Polaroid. I took the Polaroid home, showed it to my kids, and they said, "You look like Grandma."
And for our audience, that's Laxeth, the bit character from Star Trek Voyager, the episode Investigations from season 2.
Jeez. I've never seen it. But Mariette, of course, did the famous Star Trek, the original, where she fell in love with Spock, and Spock fell in love with her. And we scrolled through it the other night. It was on again, and she couldn't believe I hadn't seen it.
So she's been interested in Jewish men for a long time, it sounds.
Well, that line in the movie, "I hear Jewish men make good husbands." Yeah.
Well, Jerry, you played Jerry in the 1973 film adaptation of the 71 musical Godspell, based on the Gospel of Matthew. The film version of Jesus Christ Superstar also came out in 73 and was adapted from a 1971 stage musical. What was going on in the culture that inspired these 2 hippie Jesus musicals?
I think it was basically they're both kind of revolutionary, and there was kind of a back and forth about, Godspell's better, Jesus Christ Superstar is better. I think it was a time of upheaval, a time of revolution, and Jesus is one of the original revolutionaries. So I think it seemed to fit the times. Actually, the Godspell movie, David Green, the director of the movie, told me this. We became very good friends, and he said, I saw him a couple of months after the movie premiered, and he said, "Jerry, we missed it." I said, "David?" He said, "We were 6 months too late. The fad is gone." I said, "Well, it wasn't a fad, really. It was." He said, "Yeah, but we missed it. And that's why the movie didn't do all that well. It was passé already."
The thing that's really cool about Godspell, among other things. The film is the Twin Towers scene where the towers are under construction. You're on the rooftop dancing around. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We went up there for a rehearsal, and I have a problem with heights. This is why I only got up to 5'4". The gals in our company, in the movie company, would go right to the edge and look over it. Even now, I get spookus. And I said, Gilmer, come away from there. She said, no, come here. I said, no, I'm not coming over. And from that view up there, David said he had to use a helicopter because it looked phony. The shot looked phony. So he had to get a helicopter shot to show that we were really up there dancing. The truth of the matter is, we did it, and then for whatever reason, they had to redo it, and I was already in Boston doing a new musical, same group, Edgar Lansbury, Joe Group. So we were in production in Boston. I went back to Boston, and they said, you got to come back to New York and reshoot the tower. And I said, I'll reshoot anything. Don't make me go up there again. And they got a friend of mine, Paul Kreppel. And if you look at that scene, he's got his hat pulled all the way down. He's 30 pounds lighter, and he's got his hat. And he's doing the dances correctly. And you knew it wasn't me. Look at those dances. It's like, who's the guy who's out of step? I was always a half a beat late on it.
Your voice acting credits are impressive. The Wild Thornberrys, Real Monsters, Cow and Chicken, Family Guy, among others. Your voice is also in the 1998 animated film Antz, the first movie from DreamWorks Animation and the second American computer animated film after Toy Story. Antz stars Woody Allen as Z, an anxious ant going through an existential crisis. You do a spot-on Woody Allen impression. Did you get to meet him?
I knew that the casting director called me, Leslie Feldman, and who I knew from New York, and she was out here with DreamWorks. And she said, we need you to go up to San Jose, where the animators were. And we need you to put down all of Woody Allen's lines because he doesn't want to do it. They'll animate to you doing him, and they'll probably throw you a couple of characters. Well, it's a great job and fun, and to walk around and see all these kids, mostly kids, doing the animation. It was just, wow. The work that goes into these things. And I didn't get to meet him, but I did radio days. I had a wonderful role in radio days where I played 4 or 5 different characters in one scene on the radio, on my radio show. And at that audition, they handed me the scene, and I read it. I went, oh, this is terrific. I played a very upper crust Englishman. I played an East Side guy, a West Side guy, and then a black woman maid, African American. I have to be very careful these days. My son keeps correcting me. And I'm reading it, and the cast director, she said, okay, can you come in? I said, sure. She said, okay, Mr. Allen is in the room. Please don't look at him. Don't make eye contact. And don't say anything to him when you come in or leave. I said, oh, okay. They go to the room. He's not there. And you know these bins where they used to hang pieces of film? They're big white, look like laundry bins. And they hang scenes. And I noticed under one of the bins, there's a pair of sneakers. Couldn't see him. He was hiding. So I did the scene. She said, thank you very much. We'll be in touch. And as I walked out from behind the bin, I hear, that was wonderful. I said, thank you. I went home, the phone rang, and he booked me. They booked me.
Well, what's the best way for our audience to watch our almost completely true love story and support the wonderful work that you're doing?
Thank you. You can come over here. We'll play it for you. It's on Amazon. It's on Apple, iTunes. It's on Voodoo, that you do so well. And those are the main. I mean, it's playing in England on Sky 2. I don't know what that is, but it's playing there. And I've had friends tell me they've seen it on airplanes. And I say, which airline? JetBlue. Okay, JetBlue. And a softball friend said, we saw your movie. I said, oh, great. So I'm handing out cards, watch the movie. And he said, he's Norwegian. He said, we were on a trip up the Rhine and we were on a boat and we saw the movie on the boat. So it's there. I guess Amazon and Apple iTunes are the best. For me, the easiest. There are other platforms, but I'm not even familiar with them, like Vudu.
Well, and you just about, seeing it at your house, but in fact, it's filmed at your house in large part, is it?
Yes, it is. You know why? It was cheap. The rental was cheap. Yeah. And the bird store is my best friend's bird store, Lloyd. I walked into the bird store and I said, Lloyd, can you film in here, Lloyd? He said, yeah, they did a couple of commercials in here. I said, it's so loud. How do you? He said, I put the screaming ones in the back, close the door. I said, okay, we're going to do a couple of scenes of a movie that I'm making in here.
Well, that's terrific. Thanks so much for joining us, Jerry.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
And to our audience, now back to your regularly scheduled lives.
Amusing Jews is here to amuse you. If you like being amused, go ahead and click like and subscribe.